Hello.
Yeah, that's your name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass, and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, ooh, there's deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the
275 pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
Yeah.
You know.
He's like,
he's up there slapping, pissing all over everything.
Is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
That's I know.
Why did you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize.
You know what pert near means.
If you know what pert near means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pert Near Outdoors. Hi there, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Pert Near Outdoors Podcast. This is your host, Billy, and this is just going to be a solo episode. I'm cutting in this little intro here. I'm going to kind of break down some things that I'm thinking about, talk a little turkey hunting, talk some Tball, local politics, your school board vote, and some podcasts I've been listening to. So something a little different. Life is very busy right now, as you'll hear me get into. So two things I want to point out. I mentioned local school budget and board votes that are coming up next week. I couldn't remember whether it was Wednesday or Thursday next week. It is Tuesday or Wednesday next week. It is Tuesday the 17th at all of our school districts here across New York State. So if you are not familiar, you've never voted, if you are a taxpayer, you are open to vote. So that's a right you have. Check out your school district's website, see what the budget looks like, see what some of the candidates are for school board, and next Tuesday, go cast your vote and get involved in the process. That's where it all starts with the kiddos. So that's that, number one. And number two, just want to continue to remind everybody that we are running that, we're calling it the Pert Near Life Ring Raffle, the charity raffle that we're doing with Southtown Walleyes of Western New York, raising money for the life rings to be put along the Niagara River and the Buffalo River. They have a goal of 50 to start. There are currently no life-saving devices along the waterfront, and especially in those popular fishing areas. A couple of years ago, had a couple kids that jumped in, or one kid fell in and the other kid jumped in to try to save his friend, and they both unfortunately lost their lives that day. So it kind of brought a lot of awareness to this issue. So we heard about it and wanted to get involved. So if you'd like to buy a raffle ticket, they're $20 a piece. We're selling 200 total. And the grand prize of the raffle is a 6-hour, 4-person trip out on Lake Erie chasing walleyes with ultimate adventure sport fishing. And I'm excited to have partnered with them on that. Jim, the captain, lives right over the hill from me and made the connection here, and happy to support that organization and this awesome cause to something that benefits the overall community of Western New York, to who frequents the river, both the Niagara and the Buffalo River, popular destinations this time of year. So head over to the website, pertnearoutdoors.com. You can check us out there, and you can purchase anything in the store, but you can also get your raffle ticket there, or you can contact me directly and buy it from me in person with cashola. So it's a great opportunity, and I appreciate your support in jumping into that raffle. We will be doing the drawing at the Southtown Walleyes picnic on July 10th is when that will be drawn. And the winner of that grand prize will be able to pick the date that they want to go anytime later this summer. August, I'm told, is a hot time to go. But if not this year, if something doesn't work for that, you can always schedule it next year. So awesome opportunity. So that's that. Quick shout out to our, I guess, kind of our title sponsor, the Huntworks. Those guys have continued to support us. We appreciate them, and they have really beefed up their offering. They've got a shop, a full archery pro shop there now. Dan and Steve have really worked to load that out with all sorts of bows. They got tons on the shelf now. If you check out their social media pages, you'll see what they've got. You check out the website, thehuntworks.com. You will see what they have available, and they are looking for your business. Good people in the Rochester area, Rochester, New York, and head over and see them. I think right now they've got PSE, Bowtech, and Athens on the shelf, I believe, are the 3 brands that they've got all stocked up on. So check them out. See if there's anything else. Remember, if you're shopping, use our links in our bio. I'm supposed to say that. Haven't said that in a while. We've got some links in there that are affiliate links that'll help support this show. Let's see, what other shameless things can I say? There's probably something. Oh, the Upper Genesee River Branch, they are doing their archery shoot, the River Bottom Archery Launcher, I think is what they're calling it, something along those lines. It's I'm being funny. It's the River Bottom Archery Shoot, I think is what they're calling it. That is on May 21st, so not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. That's an archery shoot in the morning, and then like a kind of a banquet raffle in the afternoon. So I hope to make it down. Got Tball on Saturday for Billy, and so that is a priority. So once we get done with that midday, hopefully take a run down there and catch the tail end of the raffles in the afternoon. Excuse me. Got a frog in my throat. So that's next Saturday. Check them out. Go to their website or go to their Facebook or Instagram page. You can see the deal on the tickets. They have pre-sale available, some specials there as far as raffle tickets go. And I would recommend it. We went last year, Danny and I did, and we had an awesome time. And this year, hope to make it down there again. Sean and his crew are doing some great things. And Dallas and I went to their deer habitat and food plot seminar that they did a couple weeks ago, and that was awesome. There's just always something to learn. There's more information that we can all gather. It's there's so much content out there, but what they're doing with these live seminars and bringing in professionals to speak about these things. They had Ryan Rockefeller, who is the Region 9 deer biologist, did a presentation, and that's really cool to have our region that we're in here in Western New York have our deer biologist, have that opportunity to physically shake his hand, say hello, and hear some of his perspectives on our herd here and how things are looking. So can't do that sitting on the couch. Can't do that through social media. That's all in-person stuff. So that's beautiful what Sean's doing, and encourage all of you who can find the time to participate and attend those events to do so. All right, I'm going to shut up, and then you'll start to hear me talk again and pretend it's not right now, but it's not. It is kind of right now. It was Monday. This is Tuesday. So it's pretty much the same day. It all blends together. Keep feeding them, people. Appreciate you listening. In my life, things are pretty busy with the kids and Tball starting a couple weeks ago. So it's been a little challenging to find time to sit down and do a podcast, and don't want to just throw something half in the bag. So since we last spoke, we had the opener of Turkey here in New York. I have not spent too much time chasing birds. I hunted opening morning with Dad. We had a beautiful morning up at camp in Naples. No birds were harmed. Some gobbles were heard. We had a nice hen come in, and she spent better part of an hour hanging out right with us, right in front of the blind. We were sitting in the Banks blind, the 360 that Dad's got set up in the old family stand food plot, and I had bought a couple Avian X HDR decoys, the half strut or quarter strut Jake and the hen, and it was pretty impressive to watch that hen, how calm she was. She came in all fired up and excited, and she got into the decoys and just simmered right down. She was feeding and grooming herself, and it was really cool to just kind of watch her, how she was interacting with those decoys and just kind of becoming one with the flock. So that was pretty cool. And then I had the same experience last week. I went out Thursday morning and hunted for a few hours, and had exactly the same thing happen. Had a hen come in and hung out with the with the decoys for 45 minutes. It was about 35, 40 minutes she was there, and I was really hoping in both of those situations that the hens, the real hens, were going to do the job for me and get a tom to come in. I didn't have to do anything, just kind of sit there and let nature take its course. But there were no toms in the area by the appearance of lack of showing up, and also from the calls, I heard a couple faint gobbles in the distance, but nothing super close. So, and as you saw, I did take a nice nap on opening morning. So I'm 1 for 2 on naps during turkey hunting, which is as I grow older and grow more tired from life, I find that I really enjoy a good nap in the woods. And for those of you out there who've done it, you know what that's like. There's maybe nothing more peaceful than just the complete dead silence in the woods, taking a little snooze. So I'm glad Dad caught footage of me doing that opening morning, because I was wondering if he did or not. And sure enough, he did, but he was too kind to post it. Big Jim, on the other hand, he saw the gold that was, and grabbed that from Dad last weekend up at camp and posted that video up. So those are memories that will stay with us forever. It's good stuff. We had a great camp. We had my Uncle Chris and his 2 boys, Dave and Joe. Uncle Mike was up at camp. Jimbo was up there for a while. Brian Gottfried stopped by, had a beer or 2, and it was just an awesome opening night. And to me, that's what it's all about, is having everybody at camp and the camaraderie, especially turkey hunting. I don't really get too fired up about that. I know there's a lot of people out there that do. It's all about, putting birds on the ground, but for me, it's more of being out there, waking up with the woods, seeing nature. These mornings like today, God, it's freaking perfect out there right now. Not a cloud in the sky. Cold, bitter morning to start, but really quickly warmed up. And that's what you get during May in the woods when you're turkey hunting. You just get to see things and experience things that you don't get to often during the fall when you're deer hunting, because the weather can be pretty brutal in the fall. So 2 different experiences, and I love turkey hunting for that. So I alluded on Tball. I'm going to kind of get into some personal opinion and personal topics here. Well, last thing on turkey is Big Jim is planning on getting on and doing a podcast with a few people to talk about the birds that they got in the first week. Our good friend Mike Howlett shot his first turkey ever. Jimmy was with him opening morning. Brian Gottfried and his dad shot a nice bird opening morning as well. And then one of our hunting buddies, Adam Fisher, he shot a bird. I think that was maybe Monday morning or Tuesday morning. He caught up with an old tom. So I think Jimmy's going to try to put something together so we get a little turkey content on here. But what I want to do with the rest of this discussion is kind of hit on some topics and some things that I'm listening to that I'd really encourage you all to take a look at. And a lot of it's very timely right now. So first, it kind of starts with Tball. I started coaching. My son Billy started Tball the first week of May, or not the first week of May, the last week of April. And we've had 3 practices so far. I'm the head coach, which is awesome. And my wife Sarah's helping. She's assistant coach, and she very quickly established that in the first practice when I'm, looking at her with, I had all sorts of expectations of what this was going to be. And I played baseball growing up, and it was just a way of life. So, I feel like I have things wrapped up and understand, how to coach little kids. But boy, was I awakened when I am sitting there with 8, anywhere from 4 to 6 year olds just staring at me with glassed over eyes, like, what are you talking about? And really kind of sobered me and realized I need to find a way to make this more fun than anything and just get them engaged. So it's taken, 2 practices to really kind of figure things out a little bit. 3rd practice was awesome, but Sarah's been huge and a huge help in that, trying to get the kids involved and find some drills. YouTube's a beautiful thing. We've found some different drills and things like that on YouTube and went and bought some equipment so we could do some of these things with the kids. But talk about rewarding. That's, where I'm going with this. It's so rewarding to go and do this. It's an hour a night, 2 nights a week. And, you're really making an impact. And you can see it with these kids, how the way they look at you, the way they're listening. This is the stuff that I think as we all grow up and you have kids, these are the things, at least speaking for myself, and I'm sure my dad coached my brother and I growing up, and I'm sure that these are the same things that he could tell me now that he felt at that time, where you're just you're getting outside of your little niche group. We've got our 3 or 4 families that we hang out with a lot, and our kids all know each other, and this is our first experience, getting out and being with people we don't know. And for me, being the coach, interacting with these young kids, it's so rewarding to, just for that hour a night, to see them engage with something, laughing, having fun, running around, and trying to make them have a good time playing the game of baseball, even if it's not physically playing the game, but it's out there, throwing foam balls, using we ripped up some towels, trying to teach them how to throw, ripped up some towels and tied knots on the end so that they could, practice their throwing motion and aim at the helmet on the top of the tee. All these little silly games that just last week we did on Thursday night in our practice, and we got practice again tonight and first game on Wednesday, and I'm excited again for practice tonight, and we'll have a good time doing that, and then we will have our first game on Wednesday night. So this kind of dovetails into, kind of where I want to go with this, is getting involved locally, being involved in your community. I think that's one of the biggest things that we all can do right now in this world. I think, I've talked about it on here. I feel that things are off kilter a little bit right now. I think that our priorities are mixed up. I think we're all this last 2 years has put people, regardless of, how it's affected you and, whether you have kids or don't have kids, I think it's thrown things sideways a little bit. It's made things overly political. If you have a belief about one thing or the other, you must be this party, you must be that party. And I hate that. I absolutely hate it. And I think most people hate it. And it's either what it's doing, it's either tuning people out or it's firing people up. And it should be somewhere in the middle. And I think that's where the majority of people are. There's a lot of people that just don't say anything because they don't want to make waves. They just want to kind of keep moving along and not make a stink. But it starts as simple, and I've heard this point made by several people. You can focus on the national scale on politics and everything that's going on, but at the end of the day, you got to start local. That's where you can make a direct impact, whether that's with your local fire department, youth baseball, local your town politics, whether it be, and that's where I'm headed here with this point. But it's finding a way to get involved. And one of the things I'm kind of doing is I've been sniffing around since the beginning of the year. The local town I live in, town of Sheldon, I've been asking if I could attend their board meetings, their town board meetings, and I've attended a couple of them virtually. And just showing the interest got me put on the list of people that they were, looking to fill open seats within the town. So very quickly after attending one board meeting, I found myself on the town zoning board of appeals, which is interesting. I have no experience, but it's a great way to get involved in local politics. It's a pretty, they only get together when they need to get together, when there's some sort of an issue zoning wise that comes up within the town. So ironically, of course, the first time that they're going to call on me to get involved with that is, of course, this Wednesday, which is our first Tball game. So that sucks. It's at the same exact time as the game starting. So I'm hoping that that zoning board meeting goes very quickly and that I can get in the truck and haul beans to Attica to get to that game so I can be there for at least that second half of it, is my hope. But this is fulfilling to me. Like, this is something I look at and say, okay, what am I doing with my life? Where does Pert Near Outdoors fall into that? That's a big challenge I have right now because you only have so many hours in the day. And these are the things that I'm thinking about. And I've talked to many of you that listen to this show and follow along and interact directly with me. We've had these discussions. I'm kind of at a loss. Like, what's the value of what I'm doing at this moment in my life? And that's a big deal to me because I want to make sure that what I'm doing is worth not just my time, but it's worth your time. And what sort of value am I bringing to you? Do you need to sit here and listen to me talk about turkey hunting for an hour and a half? Probably not. There's 1,000 other people that are doing that. There's times when we want to share those stories and share those insights, but right at this moment and in this time, the most important thing we have is our lives, and we have our our communities, our kids, seeing them growing up. And I think it's important to talk about these things. And I've gotten feedback from several of you out there that you feel the same, and that you appreciate me talking about this stuff. Get involved. This is politics. It is whether you look at local or, national level, it can be a messy thing. But I would much rather be sitting at the table and be a voice, and be able to share my opinion on something than sit at home and complain about it because I hate the way it is. The only way to change that is to get involved. And so that's what I'm doing. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited to kind of get the start with this, with Tball. Tball might seem like a simple little thing, but you are an individual in the community who is engaging with, anywhere from, 5 to 10 to 40 kids, all said and done. You're making an impact in your community, and then being able to get involved with the zoning board doing the same thing. It's just kind of getting my feet in the water here. But as what I'm getting to here, and I keep saying that, but right now is a very pivotal time. And the topic came up yesterday on Mother's Day about school board votes that are coming up. And if you haven't seen a lot of yard signs yet, you may not have something going on in your community. But coming up here, May 18th, I believe it is. I believe it's May 18th. It's either the 17th or the 18th. Is our local school votes and school board votes here in New York. And it's a very important day, not only for those two things as they stand, but it directly impacts myself and my career with selling school buses. Is that if the school board votes, or if the school votes don't pass for their budget, they don't have money allocated to purchase school buses. So it's a very important day to me. I've always voted. It's something that our company talks heavily about internally, encouraging our employees to be involved in their community and go and support their local school district or get involved and vote on that day. And it's our civic duty. It's super important. But this year, more than ever, I'm seeing and I'm hearing the groundswell of frustration that's finally pooling up from the last 2 years, of just the impacts on our children in school from this last year and a half and 2 years of COVID, and the things that were done, keeping kids out of school, remote learning, wearing masks. All these things have been debated. They've been talked about ad nauseum. But what you cannot ignore is the impact it's had on kids in their learning and their communication skills. So you're really starting to see this with these school board votes. You're starting to see a lot of people. There's groups that have gotten together in different communities that are championing to get people onto these school boards that are putting the kids first, and that should be the number one priority, is the kids, and making sure that they have what they need and the resources that they need, and that they are not forgotten again, like I feel they were in the past 2 years. Because what's the net loss? And I think a lot of this stuff is starting to come to surface of how bad that impacted the learning of many children. Now, there's a lot of kids out there who it didn't affect. And in most situations, those are the kids that have the resources, whose parents, maybe a parent can work from home, or they have grandparents local that can help them, log on to do their remote learning, and they can engage with them and help teach them. But who are the people that are losing out? It's the people that don't have those privileges, that don't have, maybe parents that can be present, or grandparents that can be present, or maybe they don't even have internet at the house. The amount of kids that were left behind, literally, in the last year and a half, 2 years, is disgusting, and it's sad. And a lot of people that I spoke to in the circles that I run for work, they saw it, they felt it. They saw kids that just weren't showing up to school. Teachers know that kids weren't logging in, they weren't engaging when they were doing the virtual thing, and the reckoning is coming. A lot of these, and it's a shocker to some people, I think, that are within the school system, because when you're in it, you don't necessarily see it, but when you step back, you see if you're a parent who isn't directly isn't a teacher or an administrator or someone who works in a school, you see it differently than someone who's in it. Just like me in my job, if I don't take a step back and look at the big picture, you kind of get fogged. You kind of get that groupthink fogged opinion of what's going on within your organization or your school or something like that. And my God, I really think there's a lot of people in these communities that are very frustrated. The news covered a lot of stuff back in the fall with, parents going to school boards and speaking out about the mask mandates, the vaccine requirements, things like that. And immediately, it should tell us all something when immediately those people are called crazy, they're called kooks, they're called whatever names you want to put out there, or a certain member of a political party. That is just, it's gross to me, because at the end of the day, they're people with opinions, and that's what this country's built on is freedom of speech, and you can share your opinion, you can say what you want to say, and that's what this country's all about. And it's really scary to me and scary to many that this is something that's becoming more and more rare, and that if you do it, then you must be crazy and far left or far right. At the end of the day, can't we just hear people's opinions and listen and maybe learn a little bit about their perspective on things and see where things go? So I think we're going to see a big transition here at the local level with these school board votes. And I heard some mumblings yesterday, like I said, at our Mother's Day party about some stuff within the district that my parents work at and are retiring from. So we'll see what happens. I think it's fascinating, and I think I was thinking about this morning before I jumped on here. It's a huge nut to digest when you're trying to look at the whole state. You can't. School districts they're small. There's something you can comprehend. There's something you can look at. School boards, as I've really learned as I've gone to a couple of school board meetings myself this year. There's not that many people that actually engage there, but those school boards have a ton of power. They really are the ones that drive the direction of the district and make a lot of the big decisions. You have your superintendent and your business official. Those are like the two highest positions in the district. But at the end of the day, if the school board doesn't like it, they wield a lot of power. So when you go to these meetings and you hear and you see what the folks are doing, and if something doesn't seem right, or you have a question as to why it is, we're taxpayers. We have the right to question that, or to say, can you explain what we're trying to achieve here, or what the goal of the board is with these motions and movements. And you've got people that have been showing up and engaging in this process that had not in the past, and a lot of them are starting to throw their hats into the ring for these open positions that are coming up for this upcoming school year. And from what it appears, most districts have like a 4-year term. Some might be a little bit different, but I would encourage you to go on your school's website, your district website, and look at the budget proposal. It should be out by now. It's all of them at this point probably have it on their website. But you can also see the individuals that are running for these positions. And I think it'd be good. I'd encourage you to check those out. See who the people are, what their backgrounds are, what their bios, what they do. Check out their Facebook pages or social media. I'm sure they have that. Learn what they're about. And it's not that hard to show up and vote for your local school board and school budget. We see it statewide because I have to, with my job, I keep track of every district, all their yays and nays. So to know whether their budget approved so that we can get their buses coming and do that sort of stuff. So I've been watching this for a few years in the position I'm in, and the amount of people, you take a district, let's just use Honea Falls, Lima for an example, because that's a district that I'm familiar with. They've got, 15,000 people, maybe 10,000, we'll say, on a conservative number that are registered to vote and can vote in that school board. Or I keep saying school board, vote in that school budget, vote, and you'll get 1,000, 1,400 people. That's it. So what does that tell you about the engagement of the community? And those people that you're electing or that budget that you're approving directly affects the community, your taxes, the direction that the school goes, and how they're going to handle different things that come up. We need more than 10% of the population engaging in that. I think we're going to have it. And I would encourage you guys and girls listening to this to just check it out and go vote. You know, a no vote is still a vote. I don't know how else to explain that. If you don't vote, you're basically just saying, I don't care, do whatever you want. And then you're going to sit back and complain about the direction things go, and you had no impact on it. So I'd encourage you to go check out your school district's website. The budget votes are going to be, let me pull up the calendar here. I believe it's a Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday, I think the 17th is the budget vote. Don't mark me on that. When I do the intro, I'll get my ducks in a row. It's either the 17th or the 18th. I believe it's the 17th. And get out there and vote. Show up, go to your school, do your thing, and do that. We've got primaries coming up as well across New York State. I know I received something in the mail, so you're going to want to get engaged in that if you got a primary card in the mail, so that you can go vote for your local representatives or state representatives that are going to be coming up here in the fall. That's a whole another ball of wax that has been interesting to listen to and watch. But that's kind of that on that end. Hope you tracked along with what I was saying there. And then getting into there's been a ton I've been posting in our stories. There's been a lot of proposed legislation out there that's hot and heavy with when it comes to hunting and fishing in the outdoors. There's a lot happening here in New York right now. Many of you have probably started engaging with Howl for Wildlife. I talked to Charlie there last week, and he's going to be putting something together on the lead ammunition discussion here in New York. There's been, I think, New York Deer Association put out an action alert for their members, as well as Backcountry Hunters and Anglers did, and Sportsman's Alliance has been posting a bunch of stuff too. So there's a lot of organizations that are watching this, but I believe right now there's also something out there. The state is looking for feedback on turkey regulations. So I'll post something up. Brian Gottfried posted something on his Facebook page. I'll share that over on our page, and I'll put that in the link or in the bio here, so you can easily click on that link to go check out what they're looking for. But there's some proposed legislation or some proposed changes out there that they're looking at in New York for turkey hunting, especially on Long Island. But I guess there's some other dialogue happening. You know, they're kind of looking for turkey hunters' opinions on things to potentially make some changes on a larger scale across the state, whether it be bag limits, season dates, things like that, which I think in talking to a lot of turkey hunters, many think that some of those changes might be something that would be good. So I'll post that link in the bio here. You can check that out. And I'm going to kind of plug some podcasts here that I've been listening to, and I would really encourage you to listen to them if you're interested in some of this stuff. Number one would be We Love Outdoors, speaking about outdoor politics and legislation, especially focused here in New York, has been that podcast. Rich Davenport is doing a great job with that, and Rich is a character. He's got his own flavor, and he's an entertainer in his own part. I really enjoy his show. It's very consistent. He's with mine. I kind of just ramble here, but Rich is he must write it out ahead of time. He's got segments that he does consistently each show, and really breaks things down. And he's extremely engaged here in New York when it comes to outdoor conservation and politics. He's, I believe, one of the top members of the New York Conservation Council. They often get involved and voice their opinions on things. So We Love Outdoors. Check his podcast out. You'll enjoy that. Especially the last one had some real humdingers on there. He got into talking about the wind turbines on Lake Erie, which is something that I'm staunchly against. We did a podcast with Jim Hanley on that back in it must have been early, it was like January-ish. If you haven't listened to that, I would encourage you to. Congratulations to Jim, by the way. I believe he's being inducted into the Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame, and he is, I think it's the first outdoor personality to do that, whether it be a hunter or fisherman. Jim's a pretty decorated charter captain on Lake Erie, and I'm sure he's done some stuff on Lake Ontario too, but he's traveled all over doing a TV show, and he was an awesome guy to get on here, and I'm sure we'll connect again to do that. But same with Rich. So check out the We Love Outdoors podcast. Next one, that I've really fallen in love with and is a must-to listen to each week is the Power Hungry podcast. This one is Robert Bryce is the host, and he's a journalist that's been following power, just power in general, energy for I think 20 years plus. Looking at his bio, he's got a great website with all sorts of speeches he's done in front of different committees in Washington, D.C., talking about these issues. Really enjoy his discussions, having people on from all walks of life, from all corners of the globe, their experiences with energy and power and what their countries are working on, lessons learned. So as we march down this road here in New York, trying to move everything to electric, I think it is absolutely fascinating to educate yourself and learn some of the things that have been learned from other parts of the world that have either tried to do this or have done it and it's working, or done it and it's failed, and what sort of things can we learn? Because at the end of the day, you got to be educated on these things if you're going to speak to them. And, I may oftentimes when I get on here not have my thoughts all put together. I'm just kind of talking off the cuff. But, I spend a lot of time listening to these people and different professional opinions on these things. And it's very hard to understand when you look at the legislation and the movement that's being pushed forward to go all renewable, all green energy, electric. And then you listen to people who have been following this for their entire careers, longer than I've been alive, and saying that the math just doesn't add up. It's not quite making sense how this is all going to work. Today, now things can improve, new technology can change, but where are we today? And what have we learned from history? I think those conversations are important. So if that stuff interests you, check out the Power Hungry podcast. That's one of my faves. Real AF, Andy Frisella, that is a must listen for me. Andy is a very successful entrepreneur. And when the pandemic hit and things started going sideways a little bit, he totally changed his podcast and went from more of a entrepreneur-based business podcast to this, calling it Real AF. And he breaks down, he's got several different types of show that he does, but he breaks down current events, news highlights, things like that, issues that he's very passionate about, and he's very much in your face. And I appreciate that about him. It keeps your attention, and it's been fun to follow him for a year and a half, almost 2 years now, and see the things he's gotten right, see the things he's gotten wrong, and he'll own up to them, and we all kind of learn and keep moving forward together. So that's been a fun show for me to listen to, and has certainly motivated me to get involved locally. He's the guy who really has pushed that to his listeners, is that you cannot make change and make things better if you're not involved and engaged in your community. So I appreciate Andy for that and his kick in the butt to get involved there. The last one I've got for you this week is the Dark Horse podcast. This one has been a favorite of mine for about a year and a half, 2 years. I got turned on to them probably summer of 2020, I'm guessing. It is Brett Weinstein and his wife, Heather Hying, I think is how you say her last name. They are two evolutionary biologists, and I love listening to their podcast. And really, I was thinking about this comparison of the two. They're very even keeled, scientific intellectuals. They're former college professors. A lot of what they're saying is a lot of the same as what someone like Andy Frisella is saying. It's just in a much different, it's presented much differently, maybe a little bit easier to digest if you don't like that in-your-face style. So I've just, every time, I think they do one episode a week on Saturdays or Sundays typically, and that's usually a weekend listen for me. I try to listen to that, and just two fascinating people. I think evolutionary biology, I never even knew what that was until I started following them. But I think it's thought-provoking, and it's science. It's how we got to where we are today and what we're always learning. And that's kind of how they approach things. And the episode I listened to yesterday, they were at the top of my mind when I was thinking about what I was going to say today. That discussion yesterday that they had, it was Saturday's show, but I listened to it yesterday. It's just fascinating. They talked quite a bit about COVID and the vaccines and some studies that are happening there, looking at kind of the effectiveness and their thoughts on that study so far. And then they got into talking about using it was vitamin D, and I think radiant light. What the hell was it? I don't have it in the end of my tongue, but they were looking at the health impacts of our society now living where everything is LED, everything is fluorescent. There's no incandescent bulbs anymore. We spend more and more time inside, so we're just we're very much disconnected from nature, and there's no replacement for getting outside and having the sun on you and getting that natural radiation that way, and getting your vitamin D being outside. I've been hooked on the whole vitamin D discussion for better part of year, almost 2 years. Everything seems to go in the last 2 years. I think there was a lot of awakening for me about a lot of different things health wise over this last 2 years. Listening to different doctors talk about things and trying to expand my mind to understand how the human body works and how it's impacted by the environment you live in. And I'm trying. That's who I am. I'm trying to be a better person. I'm trying to be engaged with my environment and make sure that my body is as healthy as possible, aware of what I'm putting into it. So I would really encourage you, if you like those sorts of discussions, to check out the Dark Horse podcast. It's a must listen for me each week. So those are some thoughts from me this week. I will get this out here in a couple days. Probably maybe even get it out later today. Hope you enjoyed some of these thoughts. Get involved in your local community and start with your school budget and school board votes here next week. So thank you all for listening. I appreciate you. If you could tell a friend, share the podcast, and we'll see you around. Keep fading them.